allegiance. Over here. Oops, sorry, just 1 second, guys.
I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can start now. Thank you.
Okay. I pledge allegiance
To
to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done. Okay. So, Trish, I assume I can share my screen, share the agenda?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Just checking. Host disabled participant. It just says the host disabled participant screen sharing. Let me try again. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so folks, if you can see this, this is our agenda.
I can see it.
Okay, super. Yeah, and I think it should go pretty quickly tonight. And the whole goal of this ad hoc meeting is really to dive into our goals, the fall planting. In particular, the communication that we want to do. For old business, we'll cover the Ordicio Park in 320 Conestoga. John has an announcement regarding Conestoga. And then for new business, we'll cover C, operations during these COVID times. How do we want to operate for the rest of the year versus, each meeting deciding? And then, Trish, maybe you can tell me, I don't know if there's anybody that can speak to 9B, the Radnor Township amendment to the pre-ordinance.
So I left it on there because we hadn't talked about it at the last meeting. I think that it's probably best if that be tabled till the August meeting for when Steve is available.
Yep, that's fine.
But I just wasn't sure, so I just left it.
Yeah, I think that's fine because I think the rest of us aren't sure what that is. So if we need Steve, yeah, let's just go ahead and table that till August. Okay. Okay, so starting at the top, approval of the meeting minutes from last time.
It looks good to me. I approve.
Yep, I approve. Yeah, and I just want to mention, I looked at them real quickly, and Trish, I just want to thank you because I know one of the things we wanted to do was document the trees being removed along with the trees being replaced. So for our annual tally, and I saw you even caught that for Fenmore Park. Yeah, so that's great. Thank you.
Trish, did you change the one that I mentioned?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool.
James caught that there was an error in the approval for which one was it for?
It was the Fenimore Park, the removal of the trees.
Right. So I did make that change
Thank you.
to 6-1.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay.
And I'm not really sure what we were doing, if it was for the tree removal calculations or for the plan.
I think you mean so far as what we were approving, James?
Yes.
I took it as the calculation, the tree removal calculation, with the idea being, I must admit, because I side more so with what you were thinking at the last meeting around Fenmore. But I think kind of be as in the eye of the beholder as to whether one finds the plan necessary, like it's a tired park, it needs some help, or one finds the plan, hey, I kind of like the park natural the way it is, it's okay. So I thought that was subjective, and our role was more so to say, hey, are you the township ordinance? And so I think that's what we were approving for.
Okay. Well, in the meeting, I was a nay for, I guess, the plan, but if it was for, I'm not sure what matters. If it was for the calculations, obviously they were correct. So however anybody wants to put it, I just wanted to point it out.
Yeah.
James, I think your video is frozen.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but
Okay.
I don't.
It is frozen. Failed to start. Okay, well,
You were like a
continue without me.
ventriloquist.
Just continue, I guess. I'm having some internet issues
Okay.
over here.
I had that in high school. My guidance counselor said I was a fail to start.
Thanks, Frank.
I understand.
You understand. You're there.
Okay. Yeah, Trish, I think for those meeting minutes at Fenmore Park, maybe we can just say that there were some concerns about whether the plan was necessary, but overall it meets the tree replacement calculation required by the ordinance. So we approved it.
And I'll put that in the minutes for this time.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Trish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, we're going to hop all the way down to number 7, 2020 goals. So we're going to really focus on the fall planting. So I think a couple items. Ginny and Frank, I think you have a communication you want to show. And then I can also show the trees and what we're thinking for the downtown area, which we thought would be about 50% of the trees. And then Ginny, whatever else you want to cover.
Is Ginny here?
Eileen, did you say 50% of the trees, Eileen?
Originally, we were thinking out of the 140 trees, we still have to confirm that with the budget. We were thinking, hey, 50% would go to residents and about 50% would go to somewhere in the Wayne downtown area.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's great.
So I can show you where we're coming out.
If I could figure out how to do this share, I have the communications if you'd like to see it.
Sure, let me stop sharing. And then it's right down around 6 o'clock, Frank, on your screen, like a green button that says share screen.
So Frank, you have the latest one that Eileen edited?
Yes, that's this one right here. Can you guys all see it?
Yes.
Sure can.
So, isn't it wonderful?
There we go.
Oh. Okay.
Super awesome.
There you go. Super awesome.
Looks great.
Well, I can't take any credit. This is all Frank's talent.
No.
No, that's
Team
great.
effort.
Okay.
So I thought your edits were very helpful, Eileen. Thank you for those.
Sure.
And if nobody else has any comments or changes they want to make, I think this is good to go. And I would send it over to Molly to get her, I think we were aiming to start this sort of like mid-August to start promoting the marketing of it and get it to the commissioners for their newsletters, and talk to the newspaper about maybe putting some ads. What do you all think? Maybe starting the ads after Labor Day because of the fact that, I don't know, maybe a lot of people really aren't away because of COVID, but usually August is a pretty slow time. So
Ginny, can we advertise both, let's say in August and September?
We could definitely do that. I mean, I think we earmarked 2 ads.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just like to say that if we're going to do it in August, one, we would have to get the approval from the board, and then put in for a PO, have that approved before we can even put something into the paper. We have to have that PO first.
All right, I remember that from last year, Trish, yeah. So the board meets next, August, the first Monday of August?
It's August 10th.
August 10th, okay. So I guess that's what we will aim to have them approve. I'll find out what the cost is.
Yeah.
Jenny, can I just raise one? You had mentioned, Jenny, that the where they register, Seth had another site that was different than this street tree giveaway. So that might have to be changed on this document.
I think it's fine if we want to use the bit.ly address. I think that's nice and short and easy to type in.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah.
And will that work for Leah?
I think so, because this is the one we used last year. If I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
perfect.
And yeah, it should, well, Frank, is this a URL that you created or is this the one from last year?
It's a pure unadulterated copy job from last year.
Okay. Do we know, Ginny, who made that link?
That
just
would
get-
be Leah.
Okay. I mean, as long as she made it, if it needs to change, she should be able to change it. Yeah, I just tried it, and it does go to a page that doesn't exist right now, but I'm assuming, that'll obviously be updated and changed. So I would maybe just confirm with her before, we publish it everywhere, just to make
Oh,
sure.
yeah. I mean, I need to touch base with her and let her know when all the marketing is going to start so she can get her registration page
Yep.
geared up and ready to go.
Sounds good.
Great.
And the one thing I was going to ask her to add to her spreadsheet was if she could find out where people heard about it, so it would help our marketing efforts.
Great idea.
Because if we're not getting any traffic from the ads, then
Yeah.
it would just be interesting to know, where they're hearing about it.
Yep.
So how would that would be on the I guess the application when they fill it in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just an optional drop down.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so far as like posting this on things like Instagram, Facebook, etc., is that something Molly takes care of?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Great.
I mean, we've posted these things around the community at public places, so we'll do that again. Frank and I'll sort of split that up. And I mean, all of you have been great also about posting it in places that you sort of, travel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll get limited response given COVID from public areas, but anyway, I want to, cover it all.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a limit to the number of trees one resident can have?
I don't think
No.
so. We haven't limited it in the past.
Okay.
Yeah. More so a first come, first serve. But yeah, if somebody has a great corner property and they're willing to regreen, that would be super.
Yeah, I just met with a client that they had 2 trees fall in one of the last storms, and they're looking to get 2 or 3 trees if they can to replace them.
Yeah, that's
So,
super.
and there's a few others as well. I think we'll get some.
Do you
I also
have their contact info? We could send them a flyer specifically.
Yeah. I'll. Do you want me to send it to you, Jenny?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, I will do
I'll
that.
get it out to them. And I mean, the other thing we have going for us this year, James reminded me, is that we have a very nice email list from last year of all those folks that did get trees. And a lot of them, I know in just my communications with them, were wanting to make sure that they heard about it again next year. So
Yeah.
we can make sure to send that email, that list all those email folks.
Yeah, and there was a couple people on, or at least one on Bryn Mawr Avenue. They backed up to Bryn Mawr Avenue, so they had one for the front of their property, but they also wanted to plant some along Bryn Mawr Avenue. And since we're doing state roads this year, if you can get that list and go through it again, we might be able to get some on those roads as well that we haven't been previously.
That's great.
and I know one area we wanted to target, or at least raise awareness within, is Garrett Hill. James, I think you're close to that area, right? Are there places we could post, or how do we get the word out
there's
to Garrett Hill?
Yeah, sorry, Eileen. Yeah, my parents still live there. It's where I grew up, and there is like a Facebook page, so I'll put it on that, and I'll email the. I have a bunch of friends over there too, so try to get the word out.
Yep, that would be great. The other thing I was thinking of are some of the folks that presented to us maybe just a month or 2 ago. One individual specifically who lived on Conestoga and had a hard, took down the trees by accident, not knowing our ordinance, and now is required to, I think, plant about 9 trees. I can make sure he gets a copy of this, and this can go toward his requirement.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Eileen, we've also targeted Garrett Hill for the Bare Root program. And I know I know it's only 12 trees, but I think we should probably, I mean, I've identified 2 properties on Conestoga. I don't know if they're the same, but somehow coordinate with
Yep, you're right.
the fall planting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely, Frank. And maybe what we can do is we can just see who registers for trees in Garrett Hill.
Well, can I show you something?
Yeah, of course.
How do I do this? Here we go. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. God, I wish I knew how to do this. There we go. This is a Google map of the Garrett Hill sites that Matt Gullis and I had kind of identified.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got addresses and names for all of these people. I was thinking that we would actually go out and mail these people an invitation to put trees in their front lawn or in the little space between the curb and the sidewalk. This is Rockingham, where all the green dots are. Conestoga is in the upper right, and Bailey with those 4 things are kind of the 4 smaller ornamentals that Matt and I thought would be appropriate there. So I was thinking of writing these people directly and saying, hey, you know, what do you think? But I don't, go ahead.
Do we know what the right of way is on these streets? So for instance, if the right of way goes into the property, then the notification could be more so like, hey, we've selected your property. We want to plant a tree here. Just want to see if there's any objection, versus more so, you know, asking permission, you know, a little bit different.
Okay. 17 minus 4 is 13 are in right-of-ways. 4 are on the property, their front yard. And they're the ones on Bailey, those 4 dots over on Bailey Road. So, yeah, I didn't know that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So, since I'm kind of like doing this and I'm working with Jenny, we can just incorporate to make sure things are coordinated and we're not stepping on each other's toes. Okay, Jenny,
Yep.
that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Does Eileen, does the shade tree or anyone need to see and review and approve this letter that Frank's suggesting we send to the neighbors here? Or are we autonomous to go forth?
Probably.
What do you think?
I think probably somebody would have to approve it. I don't
I
think
think so too.
I mean, and it may just be Steve.
Okay.
But somebody probably would have to approve it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. And it could even be whoever on the board has this district.
Right.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Frank, I saw Sean Farhi's name on the first slide you had up. Is Sean aware of this? Because Rockingham, I think, is where he lives. I mean, he could certainly help advocate. We work with you to advocate.
Yeah, we haven't contacted him yet. Matt had that as a to-do. But if we as a Shade Tree Commission are kind of okay with this, we could garner his support, you know, for this project.
Yeah, I would definitely loop him in.
And then Lisa, could he be the approval of our letter, or who?
I would definitely think, you know, Steve should probably look at it, because I guess, you know, it is kind of coming out from the township. So I would definitely make sure that, you know, the township is looped in. And then I would just let Sean know as a courtesy. I'm looking at Rockingham and I'm wondering if one of those houses is his. Because he lives on Rockingham.
Oh, then we'll charge him extra.
You charge him double. Yeah, so I would just loop him in, because if people get this and they're like, what the heck, and then they call him or something, you know, just so he knows and he's aware. And I would think he would help you advocate for this if you talk to him first.
And when you say him, you mean Sean?
Sean, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
We've already reviewed this with Steve McNellis, because he'd be doing the work, you know, so he's cool with it.
So I also guess this letter would go out on township stationery then. Is that right, to make it official?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and what I was going to suggest was that if you get me the addresses, I can look in our system to at least get, you know, who lives there, what residents, you know, so we can address, we can, you know, make it more personal and address them to each, you know, resident as opposed to dear resident.
Yep.
Right.
That's
I've
fresh.
actually got the names and the owners of all of the addresses that we've kind of selected.
Okay.
Some of them are trusts. Some of them are like normal people, like we own our own home, and some of them are rental properties. So the owner is someone different. And I got
right, and we have their information. So we, you know, they may not live at that address, but we have the address that they live at.
Okay, cool.
So that you can send it directly to the owners, not who's living there necessarily.
That would be a lot classier. Good.
That's great, Trish. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, super. So, Ginny, does it make sense now? I'll hop over to what it looks like for our township.
Yeah, good transition, Eileen.
And okay, great. So let me just share my screen.
Do I have to stop sharing or anything?
Apparently not. I just took it.
Such a control freak.
Yes. So let me know when you can see this, and I realize it's small. I'll try and make it larger.
There we go. I can see it.
Okay, super. Let me just.
Eileen, I love this.
Do you? It's a lot of detail, so
I love spreadsheets. This is cool. This is
okay. Okay, good. Okay, so basically, what we have here is, so the WBA, they have been great partners. So this is Reed Taylor, who I'm working with, and big thanks to Claire for connecting us. And so together we had met downtown initially. Steve was there, Frank was there, and we just kind of talked conceptually what we're thinking about. And then Reed and I have done another walkthrough. We've contacted all these folks on this list independently. And I'll tell you, this is where we're landing. So everything you see, these are just the different areas here in column B that we laid out. These are the specific addresses, what they're near. And then this is via our walkthrough, how many trees we thought we could plant in each location in column E. Column F shows what we've confirmed in green. So right now we're at about 65 trees, I would say. And then the contact names are shown here. Some of these are township properties. There's some around the school, or I should say the middle school, as well as the administration building. We're working with them. And then others are businesses where, you know, they've agreed to take on trees, Sherwin-Williams, for example, which is wonderful. So what we also agreed to, I talked to Steve Norsini, we went through this in detail today, and so he gave me some guidance here, and we will take this to the Board of Commissioners on August 10th. So Lisa, at your August 10th meeting, we'll come to that and seek approval of this, and then we'll say, hey, the balance of trees will go to residents. But at least for anything going kind of in the downtown area, I'll see if I can wrangle, maybe Frank, you can help me create one of those cool maps that you did for Garrett Hill.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, that's super. And we can lay out to give you a visual of where all the trees are going.
So Eileen, the ones that have 0, are they just not in support of it, or do we just not have a chance to get a hold of them?
They are not in support of it. So I had one for each, but this is why. So when I talked to Nemours DuPont Pediatrics, they previously had a big water problem and they had to dig up all the piping. So the last thing they want to do is put a tree in that location.
Oh.
You know, that's totally fair. And that's owned by EDA. And so they actually gave me a different property site. And what they recommended is where they would want a tree. Because I said, if you look across any of your properties, we're open. And they said near the Sheldrake Apartments is where they thought, you know, would be best. And it's this line down here for free.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Great work.
Yeah, it's been fun, and Reed's done a great job. So he's gotten folks like TD Bank to take on 2 trees, and we're giving recommendations to businesses or people that have these properties, what needs pruning or where stumps need to be removed. So in some cases, the township, or not the township, the school district will be removing stumps. They are big fans. So I thought with everything going on in COVID, you know, do they really need one more thing to their list? And Bill Nolan called the same day and said, this is the best email I've gotten. So he's a big supporter, and they want to help regreen, you know, the township. So they're going to pay to remove all the stumps that they have where trees have not taken. And they're smaller stumps, only like 6 to 8 inches, no big trees. But then they're happy to take the trees that we've recommended.
That's great.
Yeah.
This is amazing, Eileen, really. Thank you so much. I mean, you guys are doing such great work.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah. Oh, and some other updates that you may appreciate is, so in the North Wayne parking lot where there's Weichert Realty and there's Dr. Ritz, you know, this is right across from 118 North. If you were to pull down North Wayne and then make a right and go into the parking lot, we're going to regreen both the areas of Weichert and Dr. Ritz, that area there leading into the parking. And so Steve Norsini thinks he can have that work done in August and September. And so it will be ready to go for our tree planting in October there.
Great.
Yeah, so that
Cool.
will.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to pick out trees for that area? Because it's a really tight area. They did have locust, I think, trees there before, and they weren't the perfect tree, I don't think, for that area.
Yeah, James, really good point. That's where we're going to need some help. Is this whole area in general, because ideally it would be nice if this is complementary to the rest of the downtown area, the 60 other trees that have been planted. So that's where I'll need some help, is in picking out what trees would be appropriate for these areas.
Okay.
Eileen, if I recall correctly, some of the spacing where old trees have been are going to be dug up and widened, so the trees will have a better chance of surviving because they'll have more, for lack of a better word, dirt around their trunks. And on the Ritz side, the Joe Ritz side, there's a lot of opportunity to make a real wide bed so the tree can have a good chance of surviving.
Yep, that's exactly right, Frank. Yep, on both sides, the Weichert and the Dr. Ritz side, 2 big, wide, long beds. Yep.
Yeah, but we want to keep a columnar shape instead of a big spreading shape of a tree, like what was there before.
Okay.
And Eileen, as I noted for the 320 in Conestoga, I will be donating those whips for that forest mitigation project.
Yeah, and John, that's exactly where I was going. So I had designated 10 trees here, knowing that we're removing 25 ash trees. And this is the property 320 in Conestoga that we spoke about last time. So John has kindly offered to donate whips and tubes
35 trees and tubes.
Wonderful.
Nice, John.
Okay.
Nice, John.
So John, should I zero this out then?
Correct. Zero it out, then they can go somewhere else.
Okay, that's great.
I really think that once we send this ad out, especially with everybody being home and doing garden projects with their families and possibility of school going either way, I think you're going to get hit really hard with requests of tree planting. I mean, I think it's going to be.
What a wonderful problem.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yep. So what happens, Eileen, if we get a heavy request and these trees are not going to be utilized? Are we going to just narrow it down and make these trees just for the WBA? Or if other people request, homeowners request, are we going to allow some of these trees to come off this list and go to them? How are we working that?
That's a really good. We have never had that problem before, so I would welcome that problem because we've always had to use the parks as overflow area. So it would be, and that's when we've had 70 trees. So now going to 140, that would be a great problem to have.
Good.
I assume at that time we just sit down and look at it and then just prioritize and.
Use our tree survey.
Yeah, like that's a good idea, Frank. Going to like where we have the most bare spots, and then maybe we go to the most populous areas, like where everybody could benefit, or the most people could benefit from a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And then, John, where I probably need your help in talking to Steve today is in looking at some of these township properties. Like, do I have the right tree number there? Should it be a small or large tree there?
Right. Yep.
So
Not a problem.
We can walk them down. It's
Absolutely. Maybe we can meet. Maybe we can meet one evening and walk this, and then we can say, you know, because of the root intrusion and all that good stuff, we can pick out some good solid species for longevity.
Perfect. Okay. And then areas that we're just carrying like as overflow. So Cohen Park, we're going to delay this because Steve has told me this is on the books in the future for this parking lot adjacent to this park to be redone. So there's no reason to plant trees that likely would get in the way of construction vehicles. So we'll hold on this one. Ordicio, I noticed, Trish, I think you had something in our packets on Ordicio.
Yeah, that was from John.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just a sheet and a form. I put in all the species that are being removed, their sizes.
Mm-hmm.
And then Matt, who's not with us tonight, is going to walk through and pick out species in selected areas for those trees. And then obviously for 320, we got that taken care of as well. So it's just a form for Matt to fill out because he's going to handle along, I think, with James or somebody to review this area.
Okay. And then do those trees, is it intended that those trees would come out of our fall planting trees?
You know, that's something we didn't discuss at our last meeting. So maybe, I mean, budget-wise, I would think so. But maybe we can add. I think we need what? I think it's 14 or 15 trees there, I believe. I'd have to check the list. Eileen, Trish, can you share that memo?
Oh, I think I have that up. Is it this memo?
Yep.
Okay, super.
Correct. So we need 15 trees.
15 trees.
So maybe we can we just add on an additional 15 trees to our main list?
Yeah, I can put it here and we'll just see where it shakes out.
Or why don't you change the 320 in Conestoga? Add just instead of that 10, add 15 to it.
Like here?
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
And then just make that over share. Yep.
Okay.
That's perfect. That gives us our 70.
Yep.
Funny about that.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
The actuaries that we are.
Yeah. Okay.
What's that noise?
It's
Sounds like a
parakeet.
Somebody's bird.
Sounds like a woodpecker.
Let me put their cover on so they'll be quiet.
No. It was a wonderful noise.
Feel like I'm outside. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Frank, you insulted the birds.
I know. Oh God. Jenny, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult your bird.
That's all right.
And then the last thing I needed, John, was you had talked about Montrose. I think Steve told me today.
Montrose, yep.
Okay. Do you have an address for that, or is that a resident, a business, or?
It's a condo association, townhome community. Yeah, and they're right on Conestoga. So that'll be when this memo goes out. I will send a note to you saying, hey, you know, that's what they want. So.
Okay. So it's residents. Okay.
Can I make one other suggestion, please? I think it might be good for John to go out or somebody to look at the trees in the Wayne area. We're going to be planting a lot here. I was driving by the other day, and I know it's been very hot this month, but a lot of them don't seem to be faring as well as I would like to see them for newly planted trees. So before, going to plant 70 trees that aren't being taken care of, we need to get a plan together to take care of them. There was
So
some
James,
right at the
you're
corner
absolutely correct. We've been talking with PW Public Works in regards to excessive watering, and they have been filling the gator bags and watering. Obviously, those new babies are really stressing with this, especially the infrastructure and the heat that's coming right off all the infrastructure that's surrounding those trees. So again, we're still under warranty. So I am planning on doing an inspection, now that we have proven that we are doing the watering, because the contractor asked about it. They have the water bags. I'm going to do an inspection prior to the warranty. Anything that's dead, declined beyond recovery, will be noted and replaced.
Yeah, because I saw a bunch that are just really not.
Yeah, the Persian proteas are hurting. A couple of the cherries, and also the London plains are hurting. Yep.
I think the London plains, all the tips were dying back. There was an oak tree, I think, that has looked terrible since it went in.
John, do you want us to send you addresses, or should we send them to Steve McNeilis of trees that need watering?
No, I am. As soon as we're done here, I will send a note to McNellis and Ricky Foster, watering concern, and make it a ASAP.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that definitely applies to township properties, but I guess for residents, it'd be interesting, since we have their emails from the tree, when they registered for the fall trees, could we send them a reminder?
That's a great idea. Great idea.
Saying, during this hot weather, can you please give your tree a little water?
Yeah.
So Ginny, I don't know if that's something you want to write up, and maybe we just get Steve to approve that, or Steve and Molly to look at it, and we can send it to the residents.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Are you thinking we should add that on the flyer? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just thinking for people that have already received trees, and to James' point, some of them are hurting. And I think the township trees are easy, because John's been great at, telling Steve McNeilis, hey, we need to water these trees. But John, I don't know, would that apply to trees that are planted like on the front lawn of a residence, or?
Oh, absolutely not. They're not going to go on private property.
Yeah, so that's why I thought if we could just send those residents a reminder, maybe they just haven't even noticed.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
And
great.
should we be checking
that might be under Patricia's work product, her scope of work, watering trees on residential properties.
For sure.
Should we be doing a checkup on the trees that were planted last year as well? Did we do fall planting? There should be warranties on them as well.
Yeah, so they've already done one round of warranty work.
Okay.
And they're going to be coming back in the fall to check right prior to the conclusion of their warranty period.
Cool. Perfect.
That's great.
And if there is a email going out to the residents that did plant, we should also remind them to take off the stakes. Because it's been a year. They should be settled in by now and fine. There's no need for them.
Okay, we can add that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Super. Okay, anything else on the fall planting?
Oh, great work, guys.
Okay, super. Now we'll go on to proactive resident communication. Seth and Ginny, I think, Seth, you had something you wanted to show?
Nothing to show, but a quick update.
Yeah.
So the subcommittee met and we reviewed the master flyer that I put together a little while ago. So I need to make revisions to that to make it into a trifold. We had some content revisions that we want to make too. And then I finally got an answer on regarding, well, first we decided on the best solution to communicate to everyone after we discussed this many different ways was to basically just do a direct mailing and blanket the Radnor residents. So got information on how to move forward with that. I just need to, Claire, thanks for providing mainline print as a contact. So I'm going to get a couple quotes and then I'll present those, to us.
Did you also talk to Molly?
Yes. So reached out to Molly, and then Molly spoke with Steve, and full circle. So yeah, the couple examples that we had been collecting from the stormwater flyer that had went out, and then also the Radnor camp little insert that was in with the
Taxes.
the taxes. Yep. So those were done kind of one-offs. So essentially where we netted out was to do a direct mailer, get some quotes, and just blanket. The idea is once a year, we'll send out a communication, and of course, the flyer, the master flyer is what we're calling it, will evolve every year. We'll make updates to it, revisions, all of that good stuff. It mainly has information about, number one, the ordinance, and then number two, our fall planting, and then also the Conservancy's spring, now fall tree giveaway, and more information about tree care and some other things. So just, trying to hit all things trees in Radnor Township. So that's the idea with that.
So is this going to go, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just wondering, did Molly seem to concur that this would go to the entire tax base then in Radnor Township, or is that the mailing address we're doing?
Yeah, so the idea would be, everyone in Radnor Township that's a resident.
Great.
So I need to nail down the specifics in regards to, like for instance, mainline print, whether or not they have, I know there's obviously, Trish, there's a resident list of all of the addresses, but whether or not a company like Mainline Print has that specific of information. So the details to follow, but yeah, that's the idea.
Can I budge in there?
Sure.
I think they do, because Mainline Print does our mailings for the WBA, and we send out.
Oh, great.
Possible that they have those addresses as a mass mailer. Perfect.
Thank you, Claire. And then item C, so contractor communication. So, we're taking the two-prong approach to this, which is, the few cases that we've had to vote on over the past few months here regarding, new residents not knowing about the ordinance. And then also, a couple incidents where obviously the tree companies were not registered who took down some trees. So making sure we come at it from the resident approach, but then also the contractor approach. So I still need to put together this communication / flyer, but this would be geared towards, tree companies in the area that do business within Radnor Township. So obviously there are tree companies outside of the Radnor Township area that come into Radnor Township to residents' homes and do business. So the idea would be to target all of those guys. So I started to make a list of, all of the surrounding area tree service companies. And the idea with this flyer, and the details are still, being ironed out. And of course there'll be room for feedback once we get to the details. But the idea would be in this flyer, communicate that, if you would like to do business within Radnor Township and remove trees, you need to make sure you're registered with Radnor Township, and obviously have some information about the ordinance, and just make sure every information that we want to communicate to the contractors are in there, to make sure that if the resident doesn't know about the ordinance, the tree service company should definitely know about the ordinance.
Absolutely.
So, making sure we hit it from all angles. That's the idea with that.
Yeah.
And then that also would, we would plan for that to go out once a year. And I think that's it.
That sounds great.
Good. So news to follow on those. I'll be sending out an updated master flyer for the residents, and then also a first draft for the contractor flyer.
Okay. That sounds great, Seth. So folks, anything else on communication, either to the residents or to the contractors before we leave this topic?
I would, my thoughts on the contractor part. I think a lot of the contractors typically know the ordinance in the township. A lot of the respected contractors already are registered and they know what's going on. I don't think, and this is just what I personally think and what I've heard from other people in the industry, that they're not going to let somebody tell them where they could work or not. So I don't know if sending out something to them is going to do anything.
Yeah,
So-
it wouldn't be more of a, it would be more of a, reminder, if very friendly tone, nothing more of like, you can't do business here unless you register angle. It'd be more of a, here's the information, do with it what you may.
Or even, yeah, like more of an incentive to get licensed and registered, such that we want you to do work here and now you can do it without worrying about getting a fine or.
Right.
But I understand that. The point is, I don't think that I've talked to most people that it's not going to really be an incentive to them. In order to get registered, you're supposed to be an ISA certified arborist, and a lot of the contractors are not, and it's a process. You have to take a test, go through all that to even get registered in the township. So I don't think that it's going to be an incentive, or it's not going to push anybody, or that's just my own feeling. And by spending money, if it's a big amount of money to print these out to contractors, I don't think it's a good use of the money.
Well, the other way to think of it, James, is, we want to prevent the contractors that don't necessarily know the specifics and prevent them from, accidentally taking on a job for a Radnor resident. And then, they find out later that, they shouldn't have because they're not registered or what have you. So, it's not, we're not talking thousands of tree service companies. We're just, talking, I don't know the exact number, but it's probably, around 100, I would say. So it's not going to cost that much. And I think it's better than nothing. But once we get to the actual, flyer itself, we can deliberate on that. But at least, we can kick around the idea.
James,
So I also, go ahead, Eileen.
Go ahead, Trish.
So I deal with it daily, with the contractors calling, or a resident calling about, is a contractor registered? And, we have a lot of contractors who are registered, and they may not have an arborist that's on their staff, but they deal with an arborist. So they may be a small company, they may be taking down a tree, but, ABC company who they, deal with, work with, they have an arborist and they work together. And we accept that as long as that arborist is the one that's going to give us the report that we need.
Well, that's a good point.
They understand that, it's on them for, if something happens with the company.
That's a good point. We could have a bullet item on the flyer that says, don't have an arborist on staff, no problem. As long as you work with one, we accept that too.
Correct.
That would be changing the ordinance then. So
I'm sorry?
as long as they would have to be on, they won't have to be on staff, are we saying?
So you have to have somebody on staff. So, we're not saying that you have to have, they don't have to be.
As like a consultant.
Exactly.
Okay.
But what does the ordinance say? Doesn't the ordinance say you have to have one on staff? Because if it does, then maybe we ought to look at that.
But couldn't your staff be considered your contractors, your consultants, like that would be your entire workforce?
Correct. They're hiring them.
It's, I mean, I wouldn't take it that way when I was reading it. I would think, yeah, it had to be on my payroll.
But maybe if Seth clarifies that, like this is our interpretation of the ordinance, then that would, that may make it newsworthy.
would.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, good. James, is there any other approach you think we should use to get the word out to contractors?
You could, whatever Seth is working on, we could probably post it at, there's a company called Mainline Mower in Berwyn, and they service a lot of arborist equipment.
Okay.
They have a bulletin up there. Maybe you can ask if you want to post something up there. Places where the contractors deal with.
Okay.
What was the name of that company? Or what was?
Mainline Mower.
Okay.
They're right on Lancaster, aren't they?
Yes. Bill Neff is the owner.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they're up in Berwyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There's Berwyn Lawn Mower, and then Mainline Mower is right after them. Mainline deals with a lot of arborist tools.
Got it.
And
okay. Yeah.
they're probably the closest location to Radnor Township.
Great.
Okay,
Well, we could also, one thing to spin into that would be, we could include a small piece of copy that says, we also do fall street tree plantings for residents. Maybe while you're cutting down their trees, you can let them know that, there's a program available to Radnor residents.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, that's
Great.
great.
Super.
Really good.
Do residents come to the township, Trish, and ask for recommendations for arborists or companies?
So they do ask us for like contractors lists, but as you know from previous, since we switched to a new system, we're having issues right now with coming up with a current list. It is in the works. They are working on it, but as of right now, we just have to go in and see, pull up, if they give us a name, we can look and say yes, or yes, they're registered, but they need to update their insurance or whatever. So,
Okay.
but
I guess
we get quite a bit of calls.
From a township perspective, we can't really promote one company over another kind of thing. We can just provide a list saying, here's the list, do with it what you may.
Correct. But we can't provide a list right now.
Right.
But if we did have the list, that would be a good step forward, wouldn't you think? That
Well,
we could
so
use registered arborists.
So we did have a list from our old system. We could print a list. And I've expressed my concerns, and Eileen understands. When we do a list, it's current as of that date, meaning if their insurance expires the next day, they drop off that list. And if they don't renew, I mean, we have tree companies that are on, have been contractors for 6-7 years, but they haven't updated their information in 5. So we need that information. We need their, their insurance information and, their certificates for their arborist certificates to make sure they're up to date. So it's, it's great to have it, but it's very scary to me because then they can easily say to us, well, it was on our list and now it's not.
Yes. So I think this is something, Trish, my understanding is this is something like you and the township are working on. This is,
yes,
this will improve. We're just not there yet.
Correct. That is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're more than welcome to call. I mean, we get calls. I get calls all the time. So,
yeah. But we're working on that because we realize folks want to use.
Yes.
If we can get them to the point where they want to use a licensed contractor and arborist, we want to make it easier for them to find that list.
Absolutely.
So I know Trish is working on that with the township, how to overcome some of these obstacles, so that we can eventually have a list that's posted online. Yeah. Okay. So folks, anything else on communication before we leave this topic? Okay. So then old business, we've already covered our DCO in 320. We don't need to do tree trenches. For new business, both A and B are tabled until August. So this is our last topic, is just our own shade tree committee operations during these COVID times. So I know for right now, meeting to meeting, we've been deciding, hey, is it in person? Is it via Zoom? You know, so I just wanted to tee that up to see, hey, could we make a decision of how we want to operate, let's say for the rest of this year, and then 2021 we can figure out once we get there.
Well, we might want to note that Delaware County is having a surge in, you know, COVID cases.
Yeah.
So my comfort level going forward is always to have a Zoom option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I go to work every day. I have to go out to get to work, but the Zoom is very easy. I think it's if there's anybody concerned about it, our family is concerned. We have a newborn and a child with a lot of disabilities, so being able to stay home and lessen the chances. As much as I want to see everybody,
yes,
I'm good with this. The only other issue I would bring up is just if there was any residents, and maybe Trish would know, that have called in or made any remarks that they were hoping to go to a shade tree meeting. I don't think that's happened probably, but that would be my only concern. But I would be for staying on Zoom until Johnson & Johnson comes up with something.
I like that.
But I'm good either way, but this is for me personally, I'm good with this.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And Trish, just to further that point, it seems like, you know, everyone that has needed to come before us to review plans or what have you have been, you know, totally fine with it. No real large issues with that at all?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess from the township perspective, if Lisa's still on, is there any talk of, you know, any issues with, you know, let's say we wanted to do Zooms for the rest of 2020, would there be an issue with that?
You mean from the commissioner's perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I kind of wish the commissioners were still meeting via Zoom. We went back, I guess we've had our last 2 meetings. So I think as soon as we went into yellow, we started meeting in person. You know, we did have some commissioners who expressed concerns around when we were meeting on Zoom, and was that, you know, when we're voting, is that totally, you know, is that a concern? So, you know, I haven't heard anything about it, you know, anyone being concerned about any of the other groups meeting this way. And, you know, I think we all need to be safe. And, you know, I like I said, I wish we could be meeting via Zoom still, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Although the township has done an outstanding job of setting up the Radnor room with, you know, our public works built, you know, these kind of divider systems. And so I, you know, feel safe. The room itself feels safe. They limit how many people can be in the room at a time. So our, you know, our staff and our township has done a really good job to protect people when you're in that room. So, you know, I will just say that.
And I gotta tell you, I am like over the top freak about sanitizing. So like if somebody were to come to the podium, you'll see me right after them spraying it down. So
That's great.
Hey, Trish.
Great.
Is everybody from the township okay? Like Trish, you and Steve, is the administration fine with
so
doing
James,
Zoom?
they've really done an amazing job. I mean, I got to be honest, my immune system is very compromised. and I am very comfortable being in the office. They sanitize all the time. They give us all the stuff that we need to sanitize when needed. You know, I am very, very comfortable being in the office.
I have one question around that regard, being married to an epidemiologist, but how's the mask compliance in the Radnor Shire room? Are people, whether on the Board of Commissioners or whatever, are people compliant wearing masks? I mean, properly, like covering the nose, not like the fish people?
So I will say that at our last meeting, I had concerns with a couple of individuals and their compliance with that. So I work in healthcare. I'm a little bit of a freak about that as well. So, you know, once we're everyone's in kind of their little space, people do take their masks off. Everyone, I will tell you, everyone in the public was great. And I think based on how many people are in the room that need to be in the room, then that determines how many people can be in the space where the public sits. And people have been great about rotating in and out. The staff has really been monitoring that, and everyone, you know, has been with masks. They do have you know, a similar barrier in front of the podium where people speak for public comment. So sometimes it's a little hard to hear them, and people do take their masks down for that, but there is like a plexiglass barrier there. But yeah, like I said, I think the township has done a fabulous job. It's definitely compliance with certain individuals. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, does the township have a requirement to wear masks within the township building?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we have to wear masks when we're in the building from the time we walk in. Now, if we're sitting at our desk, we do not have to have it. We don't have to wear it. But if somebody's walking by, you need to put it on. And so you'll see us all, you know, if we're working in our desk or we're on the phone, we do have it hanging from our ear. But as soon as, you know, somebody's walking by, or if somebody's coming to your desk, we're all wearing our masks. We all put on our masks, and
Okay.
yeah, I'm happy with it.
That means a lot. You know, it really does.
I'm very happy with it. I mean, every person that I work with is just as happy to wear it as I am.
Okay.
You know,
that's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and I think building on James' point, and then I'll go to Claire and Ginny. Trish, I think James was also asking, are you, and let's say Steve, are you fine with Zoom? Is there any hardship that's caused it if we go to a Zoom decision?
Yeah, thanks.
not at all.
Okay,
Not
good.
at all.
Want to make sure.
And John?
Oh yeah, John.
I was waiting for somebody to ask me.
Sorry.
It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I'm fine either way.
John's probably down at the shore, so he'd rather Zoom anyway. We're at the mountains.
Get the heck out of here.
Okay. Ginny.
I'm fine either way, Eileen.
Okay. Claire.
All right, hold on. I'm here. Sorry, I had to.
Okay.
I ran out of juice. I'm also very comfortable with the Zoom meeting or wearing a mask and being in person. What's easiest for the group?
Okay. And then I guess last, I must admit, I do favor Zoom just from like the risk benefit perspective. And I don't notice any decrease in quality of our meetings doing it by Zoom. And based on like the residents too, it seems like it's been easy for them to participate. It's been easy to hear them, understand them, see the plans. So from my perspective, I would favor Zoom. And I favor more so something in person. Let's say like if John and I meet and we walk the trees downtown, because that there's an added benefit if you can visually see, you know, the area. So, Okay, so it sounds like we're saying for the rest of the year, we're good with going with Zoom, and then we can, revisit this at the end of the year and determine, hey, what do we do for 2021? And by then, I think hopefully we'll know a lot more about this COVID situation.
Yeah, I agree.
Sounds
I think
good.
it's a good
Okay.
example to set, and yeah, I'm in favor.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I think we're going to have a vaccine by November 2nd.
November 2nd, that's
You
very
are
specific.
so optimistic. I love that thinking.
God's ears.
What's that?
I said from his lips to God's ears.
Yeah, let's hope. Okay, folks, that's all we've got for tonight. Is there anything else folks wanted to cover before we close the meeting?
Just want to say I do miss seeing John in person. But that's all.
Should I say you're the only one, James?
Oh, poor Joe.
No, it's okay.
I'm
Just
always a bad
get
guy,
out on a
Lisa.
one
I'm always a bad guy, Lisa.
time. So, okay, great. Hey, well, thanks everyone. I think this has been really productive. Go enjoy your evening. Stay cool.
You too.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
Okay.
thanks, guys.
See you, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.